now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
It's Joe Pott with you here on this Sunday morning as we welcome you into sports on a Sunday morning. Look, I know we're hosting just a sports show, and I think with the events that have happened here in our country and what's going on politically, I know that a lot of folks might think this insignificant, and that's fine. I get that. I understand that. We are not a news program. We are a sports program, and hopefully for the next couple of hours, we can put that aside and perhaps provide you a little bit of a respite from what's been going on. The coverage here on KMOX obviously has been extensive. Scott Jagow this morning on Total Information Weekend did a great job, and of course had John Hancock and Michael Kelly with him. So that is not what we're here to do, obviously. We're here to talk about some sports, and hopefully that is, as I said, hopefully that'll give you a little relief for a couple of hours, and we'll get you ready here for the rest of the day. We've got this show here from 10 to noon, and of course, we've got Cardinals baseball coming up for you as the Cards and the Cubs finish off a 4-game series. This is the end of the unofficial first half of the regular season. It's obviously past the halfway point of the season for real. The Cardinals have played 95 games to this point. They'll play 96 with today's game. It's the second most games they've played in a first half in their franchise history. So they have not played this many games in a while here in the first half. And as I have said and said earlier this week, I think Cardinals fans, if you would have said at the beginning of May, if you would have said on May 11th that this team would have 50 wins, perhaps 51 wins, they'd be securely in a wild card spot. They'd be at the worst 4.5 games out of first, perhaps 2.5 games out of first place. At the All-Star break, I think fans would have jumped on it. And that's where this team is. That's the reality right now because of how this team has played since that May Mother's Day when they won that game to snap the 7-game losing streak. They were in Milwaukee that day and then have gone on such a great run since then. They dropped 3 in a row earlier this week. That was the first time since that losing streak that they had dropped 3 in a row. And now they've bounced right back. After losing that Friday game, they sweep the doubleheader yesterday, an absolute offensive outburst in game number 1. They have to come back in game number 2. Nolan Arenado with the clutch hit in the 8th inning in game number 2. So this team is in a really good position as we get ready to head into the All-Star break and perhaps a legitimate chance to have, as I said, 51 wins and a 3-game winning streak going into the All-Star break. So all things pointing in a positive direction for the St. Louis Cardinals here as we talk to you on this Sunday morning, technically. And we will talk to the Cardinals manager. He'll be first up on the list. We'll also visit with John Mozeliak later in the show. The Major League Draft is coming up later today, so we'll talk to him about that and kind of where the Cardinals stand. They've got their highest pick in the draft in 20-something years since back in the J.D. Drew days. So we'll chat with him about that. We'll talk to Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director of St. Louis City, and I'll have a conversation with Seth Maness, the former Cardinal reliever. Had a chance to visit with him yesterday afternoon at Ballpark Village. So all of that is coming up. It's the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. We're from the Stifel Sports Studio here today at Busch Stadium. I'm Joe Pott, in for Tom Ackerman. We're back with the Cardinals skipper after this on KMOX.
We go where you go. 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, VH1, TLC, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR, so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's philo.tv.
This summer, take a trip down memory lane with me and hear from the legends of baseball. I'm Brett Boone from the Brett Boone Podcast. Every week I have a conversation with one of baseball's greats to talk about the glory days and reflect on today's game. Randy Johnson, Pete Rose, Deion Sanders, Jay Buhner, Albert Bell, and Goose Gossage, they've all shared their wisdom with stories of their playing days. To hear who's next, follow and listen to the Brett Boone Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a car wreck, you need the best. Onder Law, voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis. We know how to handle the insurance companies, and we'll make sure you're compensated for physical, emotional, and financial injuries. Let us make your case our cause. Car accident? Call Onder Law today for a free review. 314 or 618-9-MILLION. That's 314 or 618-9 all zeros.
Are you kidding me? You bet your britches Jerry Kelly is open. And as you might expect, we're taking this essential service thing pretty seriously. Call and buy Jiminy a nice-smelling, good-looking, extremely articulate technician will be right over. And if that's stretching it a bit, well, we promise they will have it going on. And we promise this too. Call us and we'll show up the same day. Yeah, same-day service calls from the Fix It Right, Fix It Fast folks at JerryKelly.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
What keeps you up at night? If it's a new diagnosis or an aging parent or just being home alone, our St. Louis-based ACM Care can help. Their RNs will listen to you, advocate for you, and get you through this. ACM Care is a nonprofit based right here in St. Louis. They've been helping St. Louisans for over 24 years, and they want to help you too. The first call is free. You can reach them at 314-293-0697 or acmcare.org or Google them. ACM Care will get you care.
At Neovitin, we are all about supporting your nutrition, and that's why we are excited about our new Neovitin Omega-3 supplement. Neovitin Omega-3 is formulated with 1,200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids to help support healthy hearts. Our high-quality omega-3 fish oils are sourced from wild-caught fish and tested for heavy metals. With our convenient monthly subscription, you can get Neovitin Omega-3 delivered right to your door every month with no long-term obligations. Support your daily nutrition and sign up for a Neovitin Omega-3 subscription at neovitin.com today.
Now the Manager's Chat, presented by Siteman Cancer Center. Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
We're back in on the Graybar Sports Open Line. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here this Sunday in the Stiefel Sports Studio, which today has us at Busch Stadium because the Cardinals are going to wrap up this first half of the season as they take on the Cubs, the final of a 4-game series here at Busch Stadium. And we're always happy to welcome in the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. He is Oliver Marmol, and our Manager's Chat is brought to you by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. I imagine a nice morning this morning, Ollie, as you wake up after a doubleheader split yesterday, or a doubleheader sweep rather yesterday.
Yeah, it's definitely better when you can wake up to taking 2 in one day. Yesterday was a good day, man. The first game, so much went on there, but that first inning was incredible, seeing our offense just explode. And then the second game, man, leading off with a homer and then just continuing to claw back into that game and figure out a way to win. It just shows the resilience of this club. But it was a good day.
And I think that the day in of itself, right, shows the resilience. You have a tough night on Friday against a pitcher that has had the Cardinals' number for whatever reason, but to see that response and to come out with the first inning that your team had in the first game yesterday, that's resilience in of itself.
No doubt. And I just love, I have a ton of respect for the energy that this group is bringing every day, man. You look at even the Washington series, you play in a 4 o'clock game, a 1 o'clock game, 4 o'clock game, and it just zaps you. It's pretty hot out there. And then you get back home and you lose 2, and then you lose 1 to Hendricks. And they just came out and they had some life to them, and it looked good, man. It's looked good for a while now, but these guys continue to just play really good baseball on all sides of it.
It's different too because, and I've heard a couple of other folks on this station saying kind of the same thing. A 3-game losing streak, if this team is 5-6 games under, or in 4th or 5th place in the division, it feels a lot worse. You have the 3-game losing streak here this week, but you're still right there in the thick of the Central Division. You're in the wild card race. It doesn't feel as bad. And quite honestly, they were 2 games against the Royals that weren't poorly played games.
No, they're really good games. And that's one of the better teams we played. I'll tell you right now, the balance that they have on both sides of it, right? You look at their lineup, right, left, all the way down, which makes it tough on any pitcher and bullpen. And then you look at their bullpen, and they had a ton of lefties, which has been our sore spot for a decent part of this year. So from a balance standpoint, the way they played the game, man, they straight up just beat us for 2 games, but it wasn't anything on our end where I felt like we gave anything away. They were good games.
Cards manager Oliver Marmol with us here on Sports on a Sunday Morning. You've got guys in this lineup. We talk about the way the team battles and the resilience of the team, but there are individuals that are doing that on a daily basis that make up this team. We know how good Mason Wynn is hitting with 2 strikes. Last night, Nolan Arenado gets to 2 strikes before getting that clutch hit in the 8th inning.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks a lot about the work that these guys are putting in on a daily basis.
No doubt. I absolutely love what we're doing with our at-bats right now, how we're approaching the starters, how we're getting to the bullpen, and just to your point, the grittiness of some of these at-bats. Man, you look at Donovan and Burleson. You just mentioned Nolan Arenado yesterday. Mason Wynn, 2 strikes, and they're not giving in and not giving any pitches or at-bats away. So those 2 strike hits, those 2 out hits, all of those, man, they add up, and I think we're doing a really nice job of it.
Do you feel the rivalry of the Cubs Cards? I think most players that you talk to believe it's mostly a fan thing, that there's not, an extra level to it, but it feels like it when you're in Busch Stadium. It feels like a big series. It certainly felt like that yesterday.
When you're in Busch Stadium, you definitely feel it. Last night, even the day game, it's just there's a certain energy. And I'll tell you what, man, to start the season, we've talked enough about it. We've dug ourselves a hole. The last 6 weeks, 2 months have been good baseball, and you could start to feel it from our fan base and that the crowd, man. It's electric. They're getting into every pitch. And yesterday, that was a really, really good crowd, a really good win, a couple wins. So it was fun to be a part of.
This team is starting to get whole again, and even through this nice run since Mother's Day, it hasn't necessarily been whole. Obviously, you get Nootbaar back this week. Herrera is back, but he's down in Memphis. You're going to get Tommy Edman back. What's the update on your center fielder?
Yeah, so he's DH'd up to this point. We got to remember when he was coming back, he rolled his ankle, and that slowed him down a little bit. So he played the first game, felt some soreness there more than anything, and took the next day off and was able to DH a couple games after. But from a baseball standpoint, he's getting into a rhythm. He's feeling a lot better, and he's making progress, which is, it's exciting for everybody.
And yesterday, Michael Ciani was hit with a pitch in the first game.
Yeah.
He did come back, had some time in center field in the second game, so he's feeling all right?
Yes, he's feeling better. He's sore as can be. I got him
Right
in a perfect spot, man, just right inside the elbow there, shot all the nerves. He couldn't feel his hand, couldn't throw. Tried to take that bat, had nothing behind it, so he had to come out of that game. He was able to play defense late, but wasn't going to be able to really let it eat from a throwing standpoint. So he'll be able to come into this game potentially late for defensive replacement, but starting would have been a really tough ask.
Boy, the All-Star break can't come at a better time for him then. Just a chance to get some rest there. You ended up watching the end of yesterday's game from the clubhouse after some issue with the strike zone. Let me ask you, when it comes to getting yourself worked up, getting yourself fired up, is there ever a time when you say, man, our team could use to get fired up? Or are there times where you're like, boy, I probably should have dialed it down in that situation?
No, I mean, you look at the reaction of your players and you want to make sure that they stay in the game. The last thing I want is Nolan reacting to the umpire and then getting tossed there because he doesn't like the pitch. So I'd rather bring the attention to me and allow him to take a deep breath. If they toss me, I'm not the one driving in 2 runs there in the 8th. So sometimes you do it for different reasons. Last night, I wanted to make sure that the attention, I didn't want him reacting any further there. I've said a lot worse from the dugout and not got tossed. So it was a pretty quick trigger, to be quite honest.
But it does tend to fire up the guys. And obviously the response is exactly what, even if it's not what you were looking for, it's certainly what you would hope for.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And at the end of the day, man, just having their backs is important. And keeping them in the game is important. So yesterday is a win.
Ollie Marmol, Cards manager, with us here on Sunday morning before the Cards get set to wrap up this series with the Cubs. You've got Miles Mikolas on the mound. You adjusted your rotation. You got to use Gordon Graceffo in the Kansas City series, so you get all 4 of your top starters in this series, which has worked out to this point. Now you've got Miles Mikolas, who's coming off a fantastic start on Monday in Washington. I would expect that he could give you some length today.
That's our hope, yes.
Yeah.
And when you look at how we used our pen, our guys are fresh enough knowing that we have a couple days off here coming up to be able to go back-to-back. Joe Kittredge, Fernandez is available. Roycroft's going to be available. Libby should be available today. So there's different guys you can go to in that pen to finish this game. And depending on how Miles looks, we can be aggressive with that or let him ride.
And look, I should not have passed over what your bullpen did yesterday, because Kyle Gibson did have a shorter start last night. You get John King, Kittredge, Romero, and Helsley to combine for 5 scoreless innings, allowing a single hit. I mean, this is exactly what can be such a weapon from this team.
No doubt, man. And that's been the biggest thing for us this year is balancing, knowing how good that pen is and not overusing them so that they're as effective in the second half. But those guys have done a really nice job of keeping their bodies ready to go and being really good for us, man. Yesterday was an absolutely exceptional day. Got all those guys coming in. I mean, King just ran through that lineup quickly, through very little pitches, and then the rest of the guys did their job. So that was a fun one to watch.
And quite honestly, and John Rooney and Rick Horton mentioned this on the broadcast yesterday, but when you are looking at, we have a doubleheader and we're looking to bring somebody up, and you get, as we mentioned, you use Graceffo on Wednesday, you bring Roycroft up yesterday, and it's not a matter of, oh gosh, where do I go? Who's going to perform? It's a matter of, well, who's going to be next up to perform? That is the reality of what you have in front of you.
No doubt about it. I mean, we called Roycroft up and used them in high leverage situations. Leahy, we have several guys, even what Graceffo did when he came in relief and allowing us not to use another arm and going 4 1/3, I believe it was that day. So many guys down there you can rotate through that you trust, and that's what's going to be needed down the stretch.
Ollie Marmol, Cards manager, always appreciate you taking some time on Sundays to chat with us. I know the fans enjoy hearing from you, and you're getting ready for a game. So enjoy the game. Let's have a great one today and enjoy the All-Star break.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Good talking to you.
Oliver Marmol with us here on Sports on a Sunday Morning. The Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday Morning continues from the Stiefel Sports Studio. I'm Joe Pott, in for Tom Ackerman. We'll bring it back right after this on KMOX.
Today, we're constantly taking photos and videos to remember our favorite moments. But what about those captured before the smartphone? What about the memories tucked away on aging VHS tapes, film reels, or in fading photos?
These cherished memories are fading away with time, vulnerable to threats like heat, moisture, and mold. But fear not, there's a solution to safeguard your legacy. Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Nick. Together, we founded Legacy Box over a decade ago with one mission: to bring your memories into the 21st century.
It's time to bid farewell to old tapes you can't watch and faded photos. Legacy Box transforms them into digital treasures, ready to share with a click.
Just like magic, your shoebox of memories is now safely stored in the cloud or on a thumb drive.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box, so you can rest assured your priceless moments are in good hands.
Don't let your childhood fade away on old tapes. It's time to digitize those priceless moments.
Fast forward into the digital age. Visit legacybox.com/value and unlock 50% off your order. That's legacybox.com/value.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
KMOX Weekend at your service. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
I'm Debbie Monterey, and I see more clearly thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Make your appointment today at 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
1-800-GOT-JUNK recycles because it conserves our natural resources.
We donate the donatables so they can be loved and used by another family.
Recycling saves us money. The less we take to the landfill, the more we save.
It also saves you money. Spending less on landfills helps keep our prices low.
People love to see a win-win scenario, but we've created a win-win-win-win scenario.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Hear this? It's the sound of jobs. Fixing roads, rebuilding bridges, replacing lead water pipes. Now hear this. Silence. The jobs, all gone. That's what would have happened if Cori Bush had her way. Bush was one of just 6 Democrats to vote against President Biden's infrastructure bill. And Cori Bush also voted against Biden's debt limit deal, putting Social Security and Medicare payments at risk, along with our entire economy. That's Cori Bush, attacking Biden, attacking fellow Democrats. Maybe that's why she hasn't passed a single bill since she's been in Congress. We didn't elect her to fight against Democrats, vote against our jobs, or endanger Social Security. The fact is, Cori Bush has her own agenda, and she's hurting St. Louis. United Democracy Project paid for and is responsible for the content of this ad, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.udp.us.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's philo.tv.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
In for Tom Ackerman as the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning continues here from Busch Stadium. Glad you're with us, whether it's here on KMOX, whether it's online at Odyssey and your Odyssey app, KMOX.com. If you're tuning in on YouTube or Twitter, we certainly appreciate it. As I mentioned off the top of the show, there's a lot going on, obviously, outside of the sports world, politically, nationally, and hopefully we are providing you just a little bit of a respite from that. The coverage will continue, obviously, all throughout the week on KMOX, but we're just going to talk sports for the next couple of hours and, of course, get you into Cardinals baseball a little bit later on today. Happy you're with us either way. Drew Young's our producer today, and we appreciate everything that Drew does for us each week as we do this program for you. Yesterday, I had a chance to catch up with a former Cardinal, somebody who was Seth Maness, who was a reliever for the Cardinals, and a brief career really in the major leagues. He only pitched 5 years in the major leagues. He appeared in 252 games overall, and of that, 244 of them came with the St. Louis Cardinals. He debuted in 2013, so a big part of that postseason run in 2013, and then, of course, postseason runs in 14 and 15. 14, they lost to the Giants in the National League Championship Series, 15 to the Cubs in the Division Series. Of course, 13, they went to the World Series. And he was a guy that was a huge part of Mike Matheny's bullpen, and he was in town to visit with Cardinals fans. He was the Saturday signing at the museum yesterday afternoon, and I caught up with him after his signing at Ballpark Village yesterday. With the former Cardinal reliever, Seth Maness, here at Ballpark Village, and a chance to kind of reconnect with some Cardinal fans today here at the Saturday signings at the museums. How cool is that to come back here in St. Louis some years after you've been here? And I'm sure these fans have great stories and memories of you.
Oh, definitely. You know, that's why I tell everybody it's weird to see St. Louis from this side of it, because I'm so used to seeing the dugout, the bullpen, the mound out there, and I didn't get to see any of this out here. And now taking it in from this perspective and talking to the fans and give back, and it's a tremendous place to play, as we all know, but it's really cool to be here.
This particular whole setup, Ballpark Village, is probably a lot more developed than it was when you were playing here.
100%. I haven't been back since 2016. I came back for a wedding maybe in 2019, but I didn't come down here and see any of this. And just kind of the sporadic games I see on TV, watching the progression of, you know, what's being built around here, and then now seeing it live, and, you know, they really got it going on.
You make your debut in the 2013 season. Of course, that was the Cardinals team that made the run to the World Series. Debut in May, spent most of the year here in St. Louis. You weren't a strikeout guy, which is obviously what everybody seems to be looking for these days. It was a ground ball guy, big time. What was that like, pitching like that, but also would that play today?
100%. I mean, would it play today? That's a great question, but it was kind of, I grew up watching the Braves late 90s, Maddox, Glavine, those are my guys. So I tried to emulate my game after Maddox, and he was working quick, pounding the zone, making something happen. Defense loves playing behind guys like that. And, you know, something good, bad, it was going to happen quick. And that's what I was just going to attack the zone. And we had a hell of a defense when I was here. And they made a lot of plays behind me because I didn't strike a lot of guys out. But now we're so caught up on the stuff aspect of it. And at the big league level, 100%. And it works, but I'm coaching the college level now, and those guys that are 88, 90 can still have a lot of success. Yeah, the separator comes on long through the minor league system, but at the level of college, like, you know, you can get away with the 88, 90. So big league level, I don't know. But we saw Hendricks last night dominate with 87, 89. It's like real estate, location, location, location.
Former Cardinal Seth Maness with me here in Ballpark Village, and that was really the philosophy for a long time in St. Louis, obviously going back to Dave Duncan, Tony La Russa, Mike Matheny carried that over. That's what they were looking for at that particular time, was a guy to pitch to contact. As you said, come in there, maybe it's only a third of an inning or 2/3 of an inning at a time.
And definitely, I think it boils back to consistency. You know, now you know kind of what you're going to get when you bring a guy in, and I felt like that was my value. Pretty consistent. You knew what you're going to get. You're going to throw it over the plate, make something happen, and we're going to have a chance with this. And that's the fine line there between where I see the direction I see the game's going. You know, we got a lot of guys super stuff, but the consistency, I think, you know, faults a little bit now.
Seth, you got a couple of teammates here in Lance Lynn and Matt Carpenter that are back in St. Louis. Have you had a chance to reconnect?
I got to see Lance Lynn last night when I threw out the first pitch. Big fan of that guy. Matt Carpenter both had tremendous careers, but I'm excited to see Lance Lynn throw today. I love watching him play, and you know, it's funny now stumbling across some of his highlights on the internet, and you know, it's never a dull moment when Lance is throwing.
2013, as I mentioned, that run to the World Series, had that great series against Pittsburgh in the Division Series, then the Dodgers where you beat Clayton Kershaw a couple of times. You pitched a lot in that postseason. What was that like to pitch in the postseason with a franchise like the Cardinals that has such history?
I mean, honestly, you know, I tell everybody the game does not change. 60 feet, 6 inches, mound or base pass do not change. It's, you know, the fan, the atmosphere, that's what changes. But, for an athlete, if you're out there and if you hear anything, you're not in a good spot more than likely. So in reality, it really doesn't affect you. Of course, you hear it like little bits and pieces, but it really doesn't affect it. I mean, Cardinals fans, tremendous travel well, and playing with a franchise like this speaks volumes.
You mentioned Lance Lynn. That guy did about everything in that postseason. He got some wins in relief. He made some starts, and here he is still doing it so many years later.
Oh, man, yeah, just to have the career he's had, even better dude out there, watching him compete, ultimate bulldog out there with super stuff. And it's tough to play. People don't understand how hard it is to play the game as long as they have and continue to have success, not play at a high level. And, I'm envious of it.
He's made his mark, if you will, with that demeanor and with that, as you said, a bulldog. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, like I said, never a dull moment out there. You may get some antics, some choice words, some, finger guns, and, guys love playing behind, and he fires them up, and, that's what it's about. People love seeing it, and, pick you a guy out there you want to watch and follow and be like, he is.
What about Cubs Cardinals? Right before the All-Star break, two teams that are really battling in the National League. Obviously, the Cardinals right now a little better standings-wise. You pitched a lot against the Cubs. You were part of this rivalry. What's it mean?
I mean, I think it's more of a fan aspect for the rivalry. As a player, like, it's another game. One of the 162, just kind of you're looking for that postseason play, and it's more for the fans, I'd say. But obviously, it is heightened sense. You want to beat the Cubs. That close rivalry as it is. So there is a little bit more, but in reality, it's trying to execute your job, doing whatever your position you play out there, just trying to execute.
Former Cards reliever Seth Maness with us. The game has changed a lot, obviously, since you played even, and we talked a little bit about the pitching philosophy, but literally new rules, new ways to approach the game. Do you like the game the way it is now, the big league level?
I mean, it's hard for me to comment on that because I haven't spent a lot of time, following since I've been out. I do like the pace of play. I mean, last night I looked up, it was, hour and 50 minutes in the seventh inning. So I love that because I think that's kind of deters some of the young kids from growing the game, just the length of the games. And, kids don't have the attention span now with the iPad, social media and stuff. So keeping them engaged, I do enjoy the time getting sped up. But coming up the other rules, I'm not 100% on those.
What about the college level? Where are you at now? What are you doing, and how has that changed?
So I'm at UNC Greensboro and in North Carolina, and small mid-major school. Got a good little program in the Southern Conference, and really enjoying it. And good coaching staff there working with, and it has changed with the NIL, NCAA stuff. It's quite a whirlwind going on now, and that's a 2-hour conversation to have, and I don't think we got the time for it.
But you've got the pitch clock there. You've got some of the disengagement rules. How have you seen that play out in the college game?
I mean, it really don't affect us. I mean, that's what we're trying to teach them. Work quick, found the zone. And so they really don't come into play. Disengagement is, we know them, they're in the back of our mind, but it really doesn't affect, kind of what we're doing as a staff out there.
Well, Seth Maness, a pleasure to catch up today. I know it's probably fun for you to catch up with the Cards fans and obviously now to get a chance to go see your old teammate Lance Lynn pitch. Appreciate the time.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Seth Maness, former Cards reliever, with us here. We're coming back for plenty more after this on Camo X.
Says here that Gray Bar is a distributor.
Yeah, we support electrical and datacom projects all over the country.
So you can get me the products I need, where and when I need them?
Yeah, thanks to our national logistics network.
Any industry?
Yeah, construction, industrial plants, schools, hospitals.
So you could say Gray Bar is much more than a distributor.
Yeah, you could say that. When you need a hand powering, connecting, or maintaining your operations, join the thousands of professionals who rely on Gray Bar to help keep them up and running. Yeah, Gray Bar does that.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts next weekend. For 3 days only, next Friday through Sunday, get 20% off. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale too. 20% off starts next Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Hi, this is Ken Newbold at Newbold Toyota and Newbold BMW. I am so confident that my team will take care of every one of your service and sales needs. I'll give you my cell phone, 618-791-5470. Newbold Toyota or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
What keeps you up at night? If it's a new diagnosis or an aging parent or just being home alone, our St. Louis-based ACM Care can help. Their RNs will listen to you, advocate for you, and get you through this. ACM Care is a nonprofit based right here in St. Louis. They've been helping St. Louisans for over 24 years, and they want to help you too. The first call is free. You can reach them at 314-293-0697 or acmcare.org or Google them. ACM Care will get you care.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. And here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
It's Joe Pott on a Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stifel Sports Studio today at Busch Stadium as the Cards get set to wrap up this first half of the season. And again, not actually the first half. They've already surpassed the actual halfway point, but a successful first half, unofficial first half of the season for this Cardinals team, and it has the chance to be even better. They could finish it off with a series win here today against the Chicago Cubs. The lineup is out. It's at least out for the Cardinals. Last I looked, it was not out yet for the Cubs, but the Cards lineup is out, and I'll share that with you as soon as my computer decides to refresh here. So they are both out. For the Cards, it's going to be Wynn at the top, Burleson hitting in the second spot, Goldschmidt at first, Donovan in left. Arenado's DHing today, which I actually expected maybe he would get a game off yesterday. Goldschmidt got the early game off. Doesn't get a day off completely, but he does get a day off from the field. So he's DHing. At second base is Gorman. Pedro Pajes is the catcher, and Brandon Crawford will get to start at third base, and he'll hit the 9th spot. For the Cubs, it's Nico Horner at top, Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki in right, Ian Happ, the Cards killers, in the cleanup spot. Christopher Morel is in the DH spot. Dansby Swanson is the shortstop hitting 6th. It is Miles Mastroboni at third hitting in the 7th spot. The catcher is Tomas Nido. And then Pete Crow Armstrong rounds out their lineup. He's in center field. Jameson Taillon, a guy that the Cards have seen a lot, or he's seen the Cards a lot in his career. Of course, spent plenty of years with the Pirates before going a couple of years with the Yankees, and then obviously on to the Chicago Cubs. This will be his 15th career start against the Cards here this afternoon. But Miles Michaelis for the Redbirds, it's going to be his 20th career start against the Chicago Cubs, and it'll be his 22nd career appearance overall against the Chicago Cubs. So I'm looking forward to this one today, and I don't think it can be overstated what this team has done since that May 12th date, and where I think most people probably thought this team was going to be. And I think, to be honest, most people thought this team was going to be a repeat of 2023. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be a repeat of 2023. I thought this team certainly had the makings to be better, though I don't know that I saw them, getting to 51 wins at the break and being 5 or 6 games over the 500 mark at this point, knowing that then, of course, in the second half, now you've got the opportunity to get to the 10, 11 games above 500. You've got a legit shot now, obviously, to win this National League Central Division. The Brewers lost yesterday after taking a 5-0 lead against Washington at home, and then giving up 6 unanswered runs to Washington to see them fall in that game. And then, obviously, so the Cardinals pick up a game and a half. They lost a game and a half on Wednesday when they were swept in the doubleheader by Kansas City. They pick up a game and a half yesterday by sweeping the doubleheader from the Cubs yesterday. So a huge day in that regard for the Cardinals to pick up a game and a half in the standings. The rest of the National League Central, the Pirates are right there now. The Pirates are 3 games back of the Cards, and they're 1 game under 500. The Reds are 2 games under 500. And then the Cubs at 46 and 51. So the division is still pretty tight. It's not as tight as it's been throughout the rest of this season or throughout the early part of this season, but it is still very tight. And, of course, the Cardinals right there now with the Brewers. Cardinals remain the only team in the bigs with a winning record, but a negative run differential. Now, that obviously balanced out a little bit yesterday with that Game 1 win when you win 11-3. But the Cardinals have played so well in the one-run games, and that's really the difference for this Redbird team, because when they've lost, sometimes they've lost in blowout fashion. And when they won, they haven't done a lot of winning in blowout fashion, and not even just like yesterday where it was 11-3, right? They haven't done a lot of winning by 5, 6, 7 runs. When they've won games, they've been more like last night's second game in the doubleheader, where they have to maybe come back or they have to hold on, which is, again, a compliment to the bullpen and really talking about how good that bullpen is. Cardinals have 18 one-run wins this year. They're 18-12 in one-run games. And conversely, yesterday was just the 7th time that this team has won by even 5 runs, by 5 or more runs. They've only done that 7 times this year. So they're 7-14 in those quote-unquote blowout games. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's 8 or 10 runs. It means it's 5 or more runs, that they just haven't won a lot of those games. But again, it is really just a testament to what this bullpen has been. And it's even evolved, because early in the year, it was really the big 3, if you will. It was Andrew Kittredge, JoJo Romero, and Ryan Helsley. I think all 3 of them are going to be happy to get a rest. I don't know what kind of rest Ryan Helsley will get. He's going to be at the All-Star game. Whether he pitches or not remains to be seen. But JoJo Romero and Andrew Kittredge are going to get some significant rest. And they've all had some rest here in the last couple of weeks, whether it's been a series down or a couple of days in a row down and maybe a couple of days leading into an off day, things like that. And I think the Cards manager deserves a lot of praise with how he has managed this bullpen. But the other side of this is, as we talked to Ollie earlier this morning, when we talked to him at 10:15, and you look at yesterday's second game, it was John King putting in a couple of innings of scoreless work, and then Kittredge and Romero and Helsley were able to pitch, and they also obviously put up scoreless outings yesterday. Romero gets the win after the big hit from Nolan Arenado. But it's not just those 3. He mentioned Roycroft, and he mentioned, of course, Ryan Fernandez, and Matthew Liberatore has done such a great job out of the bullpen. So it's the other guys that have been picking up the slack. Yesterday, Kyle Leahy came in. He was the 27th man added because of the doubleheader, and Kyle Leahy put in great work yesterday, especially in a game that was largely decided early on. But When that's the case, then you've got the opportunity for Kyle Leahy to pick up a couple of innings. And Liberatore pitched a scoreless inning in the first game. So that's a game that you completely have to, or you can completely avoid using those big three, using the guys that, you worry about perhaps that they will have too much use and that they'll be overused throughout the year. But that's the key, is that those other guys have stepped up to the plate and done it. And the lineup is starting to come around, as we talked about. Obviously, when you have Nolan Arenado up there with 2 strikes, picking up the huge hit as he did there in the 8th inning in game number 2, that is just that is going to make this team even more scary. You're going to add back in a Tommy Edman, probably, I would imagine the way it looks, very soon after the break. It might not be right after the break, might not be coming out of the break, because as you heard again from Ali Marmol this morning, he's only DH so far. So they've got to see him. They would like to see him, I assume, in the field, and perhaps in the field in back-to-back games. That is often what is kind of a benchmark when you're talking about a player coming back on a rehab assignment, is how do they bounce back? It's certainly what you're looking for in a pitcher, right? How do they feel after the performance? Can they come out there and go back-to-back? But I think there's a little bit of that when it comes to Tommy Edman. And he mentioned the setback that he had with the sprained ankle and how that slowed the progress just a little bit. But now the ankle has come around, that wrist is starting to come around. He's had back-to-back games at the AA level in as a DH. So now he's got to spend some time as the whether it's center field or whether it's an infield spot, and they'll have to see him do some of those things that he'll be doing, honestly, when he comes back to the big leagues. And that's the kind of benchmarks they're going to look for now. So that's why I say I don't know that it's necessarily going to be right out of the All-Star break. I would imagine maybe they want him some more rehab time. The thing is, the problem is that the minor leagues are all taking the same break. So when the Cardinals and the major leagues go on All-Star break, the minors are going to be taking those same days off. So that would be ideal, right? If you have the opportunity for Tommy Edman to remain in some games during the All-Star break and do some of those things that you're looking for, so that when the major leagues come back out of the All-Star break, perhaps you have the opportunity to try to activate Tommy Edman. Unfortunately, almost everyone, I think everyone minor league wise is taking the same All-Star break. So Memphis, Springfield, Peoria, Palm Beach, they're all taking those same breaks and the same days off. So if you're going to, what Tommy's going to end up doing probably is getting to the Florida complex. I would imagine, this is just me kind of theorizing what he's going to do, going to Florida, going to the extended spring type complex and taking his swings there and working through some things. But of course, now you're talking about not actual game speed, right? Not replicating the actual ins and outs of a game, playing a couple of innings in the field and or playing back-to-back games, all those things that you would like to see happen for Tommy Edman as he continues this rehab. He's not going to be able to replicate those exactly, but he'll probably still be able to get his work. 3 games in at the AA level for Tommy Edman. As we talked today, he is 2 out of 9 in those games, and I believe it's been all at the DH level. So he has not played in the field here this year yet. And again, we have to remember too that he hasn't played in the game period until this rehab started. So this is not like he started the season at the big league level and then got sent down to rehab. He just has not played in a game until this rehab position started. So, or this rehab trip started for Tommy Edman. But when he comes back, that improves your depth. Lars Nootbaar did that for you, improving your depth. And now you've got Michael Ciani, obviously, after the hit by pitch yesterday. He didn't miss. He left the game, obviously, in the first game. Came back, played some defense in the second game, and he'll have the All-Star break to really hopefully start feeling better. But that depth is improved when you add a guy back in like a Lars Nootbaar, as it will be improved when you add a guy back in like a Tommy Edman. Coming up in hour number 2 of the Gray Bar Sports Open Line, of course, we're going to hear from Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director for St. Louis City SC. City dropped a decision last night to Vancouver at City Park, so we'll talk to him about that. We'll visit with John Mozeliak, the Cardinals president of baseball operations. That comes up towards the end of the second hour. And, of course, it's draft day, so we'll visit about that. All of that coming up here from the Stifel Sports Studio as Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday Morning continues in hour number 2 after this on KMOX.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
The weather report today is hot. So I hope all your everybody's air conditioning is cooling the best it can. Now, don't fret if it's 100 degrees outside and you have your thermostat set for 65 and it's not pulling it down to 65. That's not the air conditioner. That's just your house incapable. It's not insulated enough. It just can't handle that kind of heat being pulled into your house. But if you at 100 degrees, it's not cooling it, below 80 for 2 days in a row, or if it's real humid and muggy, that is a sign that you're either having a problem like a window or doors left open, or your air conditioning is failing on you. So if that happens to be you, call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. We've negotiated over $5 billion in settlements. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. We've won millions for victims of truck accidents, drunk driving crashes, and workers' compensation. Call Onder Law, 314 or 618-9-million. That's 314 or 618-9, all zeros.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals. KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Monica Ricks. We're learning more about the gunman killed after firing at former President Trump last night in Pennsylvania. Here's CBS's Nicole Skanga.
Officials lost sight of where he was once he did emerge on that shed. Of course, individuals spotted him, police spotted him, and it was the counter sniper team with the U.S. Secret Service that I'm told had him within seconds.
The feds later identifying that shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Crooks of Bethel Park. KDKA TV reporter Megan Schiller is there.
He was a registered Republican who previously made a small donation to a Democratic-aligned group, $15 donation at that. At this time, there are no links to any foreign terrorism. The shooter is not well known to law enforcement here in this area of Pittsburgh, and so far, no motive released by the FBI.
Meantime, condemnation of the attack has crossed party lines. Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Mike Kelly.
There is something wrong in America today, and we have got to fix it now.
House Speaker Mike Johnson called for hearings to investigate the shooting ASAP. And former Presidents Obama and George W. Bush joined President Biden in praising the Secret Service for their fast action.
Every day, Americans are wrestling with what this moment means.
I think that reflects a lot about the situation right now, the tension, and I think that's something that we all got to be careful about.
At Trump Tower in New York, security was heightened, and authorities are re-examining precautions at this week's Republican convention in Milwaukee. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Trump himself urged Americans today to remain strong and determined in a statement on Truth Social. He is expected to attend the Republican National Convention this week in Milwaukee, where organizers are expected to announce security changes very soon. Breaking news out of London, where Spain's Carlos Alcaraz has beat Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon to win his second straight title. Alcaraz now has 4 Grand Slam trophies with a perfect record in major finals. Former Beverly Hills 90210 star Shannon Doherty has died.
I've never met a person who lives in as much fear of his mother as you do. I do not.
Her publicist confirmed the news this morning, saying Doherty died after battling cancer for years. She was 53. Israel says it has killed at least one Hamas brigade commander in a massive military airstrike that killed 90 people. That attack was meant to target another commander considered the architect of October 7th. And the Olympic torch officially arrived in Paris today as France kicked off Bastille Day celebrations. There are now less than 2 weeks to go before the Summer Games in Paris. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11:03, we have sunny skies, now 89 degrees downtown at the Gateway Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagal. Our top story this hour, of course, KMOX political analyst Hancock and Kelly weighed in this morning on various aspects of the shootings in Butler, Pennsylvania. Democratic analyst Michael Kelly called it a dark day.
I fear what the next 4 months look like, Scott, in this country with the divisiveness that exists after what happened yesterday and where we go over the next several months can be a really treacherous time, but hopefully cooler heads will prevail and we'll find a way to remember at the end of the day we're all Americans.
Republican analyst John Hancock took time to reflect on what didn't happen.
We were probably an inch or two away from having a completely different conversation this morning. And what a just miraculous fact that Donald Trump wasn't killed, wasn't assassinated.
Meanwhile, services are set for an Afton firefighter who died while on duty.
Captain Jim Kova was found unresponsive at the Afton Firehouse Tuesday after going on emergency calls. His cause of death has not yet been determined. Visitation has been set for Wednesday from 3 to 8 p.m., and a public service will take place Thursday morning at 11 at the Kudus Funeral Home on Gravois. The funeral procession will stop by Captain Kova's Station No. 1 firehouse on its way to his final resting place at St. Paul Churchyard on Rock Hill Road. Captain Kova served the community for 23 years. Julie Carpenter, KMOX News.
A cross-country Delta Airlines flight made an unexpected landing in St. Louis yesterday. A spokesman for Lambert says the flight landed safely about 12:30 p.m. without incident. The plane, a Boeing 757, was diverted after experiencing a pressurization issue in flight. And the data shows that the plane started its unscheduled descent over mid-Missouri and dropped several thousand feet in less than 10 minutes. The aircraft was en route from Jackson Hole, Wyoming to Atlanta. The 150 people on board took another flight later in the afternoon. Weather-wise, it is just going to be hot for the next 48 hours. Today, we have a heat advisory in effect starting this afternoon through tomorrow night. And that is also, there's an air quality alert from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. 99 for a high, real feel of 105. Tomorrow, 100 degrees. Real feel could be 110, and then 95 on Tuesday, a chance of some showers and thunderstorms. Finally, cooler on Wednesday with a high of only 83. Right now, it's 89 in St. Peters, 92 in Florissant. We have 89 downtown. I'm Scott Jagal, KMOX News.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Now, from the the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman on this is Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stifel Sports Studio here at Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals will take on the Cubs in the final game of a 4-game series and the final game of the first half of the season. Glad to have you along here on this Sunday morning. Hour number 2 coming up here for the Gray Bar Sports Open Line, and we'll talk some St. Louis City SC soccer coming up here in our next segment as we get a chance to visit with Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director for St. Louis City SC. Another tough night last night for City. They dropped a 4-1 game against the Vancouver Whitecaps, and that was the last team that St. Louis City played when Bradley Carnell was in charge, of course, before they made the decision to sack Carnell and bring in John Hackworth on an interim basis. Brian White scored a hat trick in Vancouver. He scored twice in last night's game in that 4-1 win for Vancouver. And of course, City just continues to slip farther down the table in the Western Conference, now down to 13th in the MLS standings in the Western Conference, just 22 points and way out of the playoff race right now, 8 points back of Minnesota. Minnesota and Austin both with 30 points. So they are way out of the playoff race right now. Certainly going to be a tough road to try to get back into the playoff race. Joey Zanaboni, of course, is the voice of St. Louis City SC. He recapped the match for us, and we'll let you hear from the voice of St. Louis City and last night's recap. We're going to get that to you. We'll let you hear what he had to say as he recaps, again, a tough day at City Park. And here is the voice of St. Louis City, Joey Zanaboni, in the recap from last night.
St. Louis City battled Vancouver at City Park on Saturday, falling 4-1 in the season finale against the Whitecaps. Joey Zanaboni, Dale Schilly. Dale, what did you see in this game?
Well, giving away that early goal really puts you behind the 8 ball because it's just the work that it takes to claw yourself back. To the guys' credit, we were able to find a way to pull ourselves back 1-1. Nukvi scoring a good goal, hit it well, took it well. But then, giving up a soft goal to go into halftime 2-1 down. You got to take some risks there because we're in a position during the season here now in the playoffs that we have to try to get wins here at home. And when you start to stretch the game out and you try to press higher up the field, it leaves you open in the back. And we saw the results of that in the second half.
And down the stretch of the season, it's the convenience store ratio. 7 road games, 11 games overall still on the MLS schedule. The next one is in Seattle Wednesday, 9:30 Central Time, first kick. What do you expect up there at Lumen Field against the Sounders?
Well, the Sounders are good. They started off the year a little bit slow, but there's just too much quality in that roster, too much experience in the coaching staff. We found it difficult here. They beat us here at home, just having to go up to Seattle and play them. It's going to be a tough game, but there's no excuses. We just have to keep grinding it out and battling, and we'll find our rhythm at some point. Just right now, we're really feeling the effects of the injuries and the tough towing that we've had so far.
And from Seattle on to Kansas, July 20th, the latest edition of the Border Classico. Dale, what's on the menu for this road trip?
Well, you got deep fried halibut on Wednesday, and you've got the barbecue on Saturday. Yeah.
How about that? Fishing and barbecuing for you. He's Dale Schilly. I'm Joey Zanaboni.
That is the recap from Joey Zanaboni and, of course, Dale Schilly. They call the games on our sister station on Y98. Just a tough night at the park. And again, we'll visit with the sporting director, Lutz Pfannenstiel. That's coming up when we come back on the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman. We're back right after this on KMOX.
If you're thinking about selling your home, I'm sure there are 2 things that you want: certainty and the most money, right? This is Debbie Monterey, and if you've been listening to me for some time, you know that the agent I trust is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis's real estate expert. Here's why she should be your first call when looking for an agent. Gloria does not make empty promises. She provides written guarantees. What does that mean for you? Certainty. Certainty isn't the only thing you want. You also want the most money. Gloria is able to get her home sellers more money than the average agent because she already has the buyers. This is why Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she will buy it. To get your guaranteed price, call St. Louis's real estate expert, Gloria Liu, at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Just imagine being walked all over for 36 years. Who would do that? The great customers of Reinhold Flooring, that's who. For over 3.5 decades, Reinhold Flooring has been the mecca for carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminate, and area rugs. Reinhold Flooring is customer-driven with a focus on top-quality products and installations from the best team in the business. So come on in and walk all over your next flooring at Reinhold Flooring. Visit them at 5429 Telegraph Road in St. Louis or online at reinholdflooring.com.
Here we are in July. Are you using your outdoor space? If you're not, there's probably a good reason. You didn't call Chesterfield Fence and Deck to really trick out your outdoor space. Imagine having a beautiful deck with a custom screen room that keeps the bugs away, or a custom sunroom that it can even maybe be air conditioned, have a beautiful fan so you're outside but not fully in the elements. Or you can walk down those deck steps onto your beautiful patio that's covered by a pergola, maybe a built-in, pizza oven, barbecue grill, you name it. Let your imagination run wild and work with Chesterfield Fence and Deck to make it a reality. They'll come to you with free in-home estimates, free project design, or stop by and see them in the Chesterfield Valley to get a great idea of what the products look and feel like, or maybe get some great ideas. Chesterfield Fence and Deck will offer you 48 months interest-free financing if you mention me, Debbie Monterey. Find them online right now at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, and we are focusing on mental health. Joining me is Dr. Jessica Vanderland, psychologist with Siteman.
We offer a number of therapy groups for Siteman patients and their families. These are all, again, focused on cancer-related distress and issues. We also provide short-term individual therapy. Again, cancer focused.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Our goal at NeoVitan is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the NeoVitan monthly subscription. Just go to neovitan.com, choose your multivitamin, sign up, and we will do the rest. You'll receive your NeoVitan multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time, and shipping is free. Each NeoVitan multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with NeoVitan multivitamins. Sign up for a NeoVitan subscription today at neovitan.com.
What keeps you up at night? If it's a new diagnosis or an aging parent or just being home alone, our St. Louis-based ACM Care can help. Their RNs will listen to you, advocate for you, and get you through this. ACM Care is a nonprofit based right here in St. Louis. They've been helping St. Louisans for over 24 years, and they want to help you too. The first call is free. You can reach them at 314-293-0697 or acmcare.org, or Google them. ACM Care will get you care.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new break you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-499-1216. 800-499-1216. 800-499-1216.
1-800-Junk Recycles, because it conserves our natural resources.
We donate the donatables so they can be loved and used by another family.
Recycling saves us money. The less we take to the landfill, the more we save.
It also saves you money. Spending less on landfills helps keep our prices low.
People love to see a win-win scenario, but we've created a win-win-win-win scenario.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Sports on a Sunday morning continues here from our Stifel Financial Sports Studio. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here today. Glad you're along as we continue things here in hour number 2, and we switch gears a little bit to talk some more St. Louis City SC soccer, and we're pleased to welcome in the sporting director for St. Louis City SC. That is Lutz Pfannenstiel. And Lutz, always appreciate you taking some time here on a Sunday, and I know this is, things aren't great right now. But I, again, appreciate you being able to come here and talk with us and give us kind of an idea of what's happening. And what's happening now is another loss, unfortunately, last night at City Park, a 4-1 loss. Just kind of your thoughts on where things stand right now for the club.
Losing at home 4-1 is always hard to take. No question about that. I think we made it very clearly also afterwards in the press conference that it was an embarrassing result. Can't really find much positive on the way we performed. The individual mistakes we made were, not just too much, but they were crazy. We got punished for that straight out. And it was just we lost against a team, Vancouver, which was much better on the day. As I said, simply not good enough, and we need to get better. We know now with the new guys being available for next weekend, but also definitely for Leagues Cup, and then when the MLS kicks off again, I think that's definitely what we have to go for. But that still shouldn't really explain anything what happened yesterday. You need to question yourself when it comes to these moments, and that was one of these games when we said, that we have to put the heads together and see what we can improve, because it was a terrible performance.
You mentioned it that Coach John Hackworth kind of chatted was very honest and open with the media last night post game, but he also said there was that quote "come to Jesus" meeting prior to him coming into the press room. Are those the kind of things? I saw some other post-game comments, obviously, about body language and kind of the way that guys were kind of taking it on the field. Are those the kind of things that maybe worry you more even than performance on the field, is when you're kind of getting some of that poor body language or maybe some disconnect between the players and the head coach or the management?
I think John put it in a very good perspective. Things are not go. They don't break overnight, or they don't break from last week. I mean, that's a process where we have to look into that and say, well, there was obviously issues before in the changing room, and there is a certain disconnect there. And then after a 3-1, the shoulders going down, and you can see on the faces of the players that they stop believing. Then there is something which has to be done. And we had that meeting, what you mentioned afterwards, where John had a good talk to the players, and I had a good talk to the players as well, where we know it needs to be reset. It needs to start everything fresh. We somehow have to go through that next week. Players will come, new players will come, and lots of injured players coming back. So that changes the dynamic, of course. But then it still doesn't fix the problems what we saw yesterday. And if you have the feeling as a fan that the players are giving up after 3-1 in the middle of the second half, then this is not how we want to represent the city or the sports in the city. And that was what the talk was about. So it's really, get together, get united again. And what made us last year very strong was always a group of players who fought till the last moment. That, for me, yesterday, there was too much frustration and desperation also when the game was finished. You saw that the players were very disappointed, but more frustrated. And we need to get back into our fighting mentality. And, it's easier said than done, but a good performance and a win can change that. We have 2 more games before the Leagues Cup break, and I think that 2 games are both very difficult. Away in Seattle, away against Sporting KC. That's tough. That's tough games to play, but it doesn't. We know it doesn't get any easier. I think we had a great chance yesterday to close the gap against Vancouver. We didn't take the chance, and now we need to battle it out. And I think there will be lots of talks and lots of meetings when we travel to Seattle, and we have to get the players together and the staff together on the table to talk, to fix things, to discuss things and find solutions and fix problems. And then it's really up to us to go into that second part or after the break into the season and do ourselves some justice.
Lutz Van Steel, the sporting director for St. Louis City SC, with us here on the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Give me a little bit of a timeline. Wednesday is the game against Seattle. And the new players then are eligible for the Sporting KC match, or not until after that match?
So they will be able. They can't play in Seattle, but they would be available for selection away in Kansas next Saturday. So that means Jacob Wright and Cedric Teuchert, they will be definitely already available, and they will be involved in the squad. With Marcel Hartl, let's touch wood, he will arrive this week at some stage, later this week once the visa is issued. And then we see if we can get him to KC or not. Having said that, this is one game, and it's important that we get the players integrated a bit for a longer time when we have the League Cup break, playing League Cup games, but also having some proper training sessions together with the bigger group. And again, it will not be all just fixed with this one game in Kansas where players will be available. I think there is a good break. There is 3 weeks where we can work on the detail, and then it's up for us to play catch-up.
And really, as you mentioned, that's what the League's Cup is going to get you. You're going to see you've got a couple of games in there, FC Dallas again that you'll see, and Juarez as well on this schedule. So there is that break. But as you mentioned, it's going to be about what happens kind of away from the game field, right? What happens on that practice pitch that's going to be able to make more of a difference in those next coming weeks.
100%. I think the practice will be, for us, really important to get gel the new players in, to get the injured players back on the field and get the group together. Then we have more possibilities to select on the weekend. Right now, it's all limited. It's a small bench, but as I said, that's not an excuse, as we mentioned before, for the performance or body language, because it's all about how we present ourselves to the fans.
Can you update us a little bit on what perhaps the search for a permanent replacement looks like as the coaching position? I know obviously you're considering John Hackworth, who is the interim right now for this team, but what does it look like as you're in season and you're kind of balancing what this team is doing on the pitch, but also in this search for a permanent replacement?
Yeah, I mean, it's a process. We have lots of coaches applying, of course, for this job, but there is also a process we have. We want to have a clear coach's profile where we know what we're looking for up to the smallest detail. And that's a process which should take a bit of time. We don't want to make a quick shot and make a mistake. So there is a lot of trust and a lot of belief in John Hackworth, who works well with the players, who knows most of the players, worked with them before. And that's always a very good thing to have a guy which knows the club very, very well. So that will definitely take some time. We want to be very analytic about that and make the right choice.
Yeah, and you raise a great point. You're in a fortunate situation that you have somebody like John Hackworth that has the managerial experience, but also has the familiarity with your club and with so many of these players, not just at this club, but even prior to time at this club for both Hackworth and some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, he had lots of the guys, in the youth national teams when he still worked for US Soccer. And of course, with City too, there was like 70% of the players that involved somehow. So John was basically with me. I'm in now since over 4 years. John was here over 3 years. So he's a very familiar face to everybody. And, he knows the dynamics in the club. He knows the coaching stuff. And that's also something which goes well. So John was very critical with himself yesterday, but I really believe that yesterday was not anything about the coaching. That was more about our mentality, what we did on the field, and that's something we have to fix as a group. Not just that the players talking to us as the staff, but also the players talking to each other. And as I said, John does a fantastic job. He has all the trust he can ask from me and from the ownership group, and that's the most important thing.
St. Louis playing at Seattle on Wednesday. Lutz Van Steel, I appreciate you taking the time, but also your candor in kind of talking through this situation and what's a tough time, obviously, for the club. We look forward to some more success, but thank you again for the time.
Thank you.
Lutz Van still with us, the sporting director for St. Louis City SC. It's the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Joe Pott with you in the Stiefel Sports studio. We'll come back. We'll talk more baseball with the Cards president of baseball operations, John Mozela, coming up after this on KMOX.
The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to the practice. He joins Doctors Birdie, Malhotra, Brasati, and Royer as the Doctors' Doctors. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Charlie Brennan once again with Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Dr. Bosler, is it possible we might say, oh, those kids are mumbling, when the problem really is our own inability to hear?
Exactly. Hearing is integral in everything that we do. It keeps us involved and embraced in life. Not hearing someone is never normal. Ringing in the ears is never normal. And when people have a hearing loss, oftentimes they complain that they can hear, but they cannot understand people. And avoiding getting a hearing aid can have long-term effects on the speech reception area of the brain. So what that means is if you test and treat the hearing loss early with a hearing aid, we can prevent a decline in the speech understanding that can happen if the hearing loss goes untreated.
The words of Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. 3 locations in St. Louis, 636-441-7470, the Audiology Center, STL.com.
KMOX Weekend at your service. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
I don't want to wait.
You never want to wait.
Not when I'm sticking to the couch.
Well, those guys can install a new AC for days. Evidently, no one can.
JerryKelly.com says if you purchase a full home comfort system today, they'll install it the very next day.
Wow, that's fast.
And guaranteed. Buy a home comfort system from Jerry Kelly today, and they'll install it tomorrow, or they'll give you $500 guaranteed.
JerryKelly.com. Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
Hi, this is Kent Newbold for Newbold BMW. Do not trust your BMW to some quickie lube place. Bring it to our award-winning service department. That's Newbold BMW in O'Fallon, Illinois, or newboldbmw.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stiefel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
1-2 here on Nolan Arenado, who swings and hits a ground ball up the middle. Base hit center field. Scoring one. Here comes another. The Cardinals lead. The throw goes over the plate back to the screen, and Arenado takes second base. The Cardinals go up 5-4 with 1 out in the 8th inning.
Of course, the great John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals, calling that one last night in the 8th inning as the Cards come from behind to beat the Cubs last night to sweep the doubleheader. And we're pleased to welcome in the president of baseball operations for the St. Louis Cardinals. He is John Mozeliak. Good morning, Mo.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. I imagine that you are doing the same, perhaps much more thinking ahead maybe than I am. You've got a big night ahead of you. You've got a whole big day ahead of you. Cardinals finishing up the series. You got the draft to think about coming up tonight. And then I imagine maybe a day or two off for the All-Star break. Do you get any time over the next few days?
Not really, because as you mentioned, we have tonight's the first and second round of the draft. So that'll eat up a lot of our energy today. We'll certainly try to cut out a little time to watch our baseball game at 1:15. And then tomorrow you basically do 2 through 10 rounds. And then on Tuesday, then you finish up with 11 through 20. And then usually Wednesday, we'll kind of use a little bit of that time to just sort of circle the wagons. And obviously you're trying to get players signed and get them out and get everything moving. So maybe Thursday I can sneak away and stay away from here. So we'll see. But these are always just busy times. And, as they move the draft to the All-Star break, it just, unfortunately, it took a little bit of our mid-season break and put the draft there. So anyway, it's really exciting times for the game of baseball, though, and teams really look forward to the next couple of days because that's how you fill your pipeline and the opportunities that are out there over the next 72 hours or something that we spend 12 months a year working at, and so it really is something that accumulates into something that hopefully from a couple of years down the road we get to see our returns.
John, you and Randy Flores and the scouting staff looking at the draft and drafting obviously in a higher position than this team is drafted in quite some time. Are you looking for somebody that you hope is going to be here in a couple of years? Are you looking for the best talent? Are you looking to fill needs? What's the approach as you get ready for the number 7 overall pick tonight?
Yeah, I think the strategy was a little different than in past years just because of where we're picking. And so a lot of energy went to really try to identify the top 10 or 12 players that we believe are in the draft. And in that way, we feel comfortable that no matter what happens in front of us, that we feel good about what we're able to do. In terms of the profile of the player, I've really kind of let that be almost like a blank whiteboard and didn't want to have any preconceived prejudice on what we thought we should do or not do. And that way we kind of allowed the last 6-7 months to sort of just be more organic. And, I think regardless of what happens in those first 6 picks, we're going to feel pretty good about tonight's draft. And that's good news.
Back to this current team that you've got here at the All-Star break that you will have at very worst 50 wins going into the break. You'll be, within striking distance of the National League Central in the wild card race. Yesterday, this team showed 2 different ways, obviously, it can win a game. We saw the offensive outburst in game number 1, and then we saw more in game 2, maybe of what we've gotten used to this year, and that is tight, close game where your bullpen gives you a chance to be in it till the very end.
Yeah, I think all Cardinal fans, including myself, were thrilled to see game 1. A little bit of a type of game where you didn't feel like every inning was massive pressure. But you understand that in the game of baseball, it's not over till it's over, and there's a reason for that quote because anything can happen in a game of baseball. We saw it yesterday for us in the first inning. We took advantage of opportunities and really made the most of it. And then last night's game, obviously a huge hit by Nolan to give us the lead. And then, of course, Helsley closed it down. But it's been a fun, really, first half. And, we hopefully we end on a positive note today. But, certainly given all the pressures and when you think about how the month of April rolled out to be where we are, we definitely feel good about where we are as a major league club.
John Mozeliak, the Cards president of baseball operations, with us here on Sports on a Sunday Morning. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman. You're going to have a decision to make, obviously, when Tommy Edman completes his rehab assignment. First, what does that look like on the other side of the break? I know that you want to get him the opportunity to see some games in the field with the minor leagues taking essentially the same break as the majors. How does that happen? And then what's that decision look like when he comes back to the big league club?
Well, I think to answer your question first is obviously the most important part is when we do decide to activate him, he is ready to go. And so that means from a defensive standpoint, he's ready to play, whether it's second base, shortstop, or center field, wherever the manager feels we most need to plug and play. And then from an offensive standpoint on where he has his timing back. So that's step 1 and 2. And then in terms of what that transaction will look like, that's still TBD. No reason to get out in front of that at this point. And we'll just see what the club looks like, where we are from a health standpoint, and then we'll make a decision at that time.
So, and just to clarify, where does he get those reps over the next few days, if he does?
He doesn't.
Okay.
Baseball basically is shut down. There's no place to play. If he chooses to stick around here, we'll definitely be able to give him some reps, but nothing like game-like. So basically, when we come back from the second half, I think he's going to have to go out and continue his rehab, and then we'll adjust from there.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. That's what I kind of figured. With a couple more minutes with John Mozeliak, I want to ask you about this. We chatted about this, but I have callers that have asked me a number of times about Scott Rowland and, of course, being inducted into the Hall of Fame and what that means in terms of, does he get his number retired in St. Louis? Have those conversations been had? What does that look like?
I think ultimately that falls on Mr. DeWitt's desk in terms of that type of decision. And I would say that historically that players that reach Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame, that they tend to end up going down that path. So it wouldn't surprise me at some point if it happens, but ultimately that will be Bill's decision.
And it's when it comes to that, does he consult? Is it just literally a unilateral decision?
I think ultimately he might ask a few questions, but in the end it is his decision, yes.
John, I always appreciate the time on Sundays. This team, as we've talked about, has made such an impressive run, certainly since Mother's Day, since the end of that streak there in Milwaukee, and it's made for a fun end of the first half, and it's going to make for a fun second half of baseball, I think. But I always appreciate your time. Good luck in the draft tonight, and hopefully you get a day or so, or maybe a half a day over the All-Star break.
Well, that sounds good. Thank you very much.
John Mozeliak with us here on the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Always appreciate his time for us and the chance to catch up and chat. As we mentioned, the draft comes up tonight. The Cardinals with the number 7 overall pick. It's as high as they have picked since go all the way back to the J.D. Drew draft in the mid-'90s. So the Cardinals have not had this high of a pick, which obviously means they've had a lot of success on the field, and so that ultimately is a good thing. But as you heard from Mo, it makes for a little bit of a different approach for his team and for Randy Flores and the scouting team and all of those folks as to how they approach this draft. Of course, we'll have plenty of coverage after the fact all week long on Camo X throughout the All-Star break, and we'll keep you informed of who those draft picks are and what that means for this team. As for today, I should say, Cards and the Cubs are going to wrap up this 4-game series at Busch Stadium, wrap up this first half of the season. Cardinals with a chance to get to within 2.5 games of the division and to 51 wins before the All-Star break. Both things that probably you could not have imagined after the way April played out for this team. We've got one more segment to go. We'll wrap things up on this edition of the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Do that on the other side of the break. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman in the Stifel Sports Studio. We'll finish up after this on Camo X.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Enjoy rounds of golf with friends this summer, courtesy of KMOX and Cutwater. Real cocktails perfectly mixed. Now through July 14th, head to your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, or liquor store. Look for the Cutwater display and scan the QR code to get entered for a chance to win 6 rounds of golf at area courses from Walters Golf Management. You and your friends could hit the links at courses like Gateway National Golf Links, Stonewolf, Far Oaks, and more. No purchase necessary. Open to Missouri residents 21 or older. Details and rules at KMOX.com/contests.
Whether you're looking to fill low spots in your lawn, backfill that new retaining wall, or mulch your trees and flower beds, St. Louis Composting has the compost, soil, or mulch you need to help your plants and garden look its very best. Visit our website, stlcompost.com, for more information.
What keeps you up at night? If it's a new diagnosis or an aging parent or just being home alone, our St. Louis-based ACM Care can help. Their RNs will listen to you, advocate for you, and get you through this. ACM Care is a nonprofit based right here in St. Louis. They've been helping St. Louisans for over 24 years, and they want to help you too. The first call is free. You can reach them at 314-293-0697 or acmcare.org, or Google them. ACM Care will get you care.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-578-2415. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-578-2415 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. That's 800-578-2415. To see if you qualify. That's 800-578-2415.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
We're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Weeknights at 6. It's the Gray Bar Sports Open Line.
Do welcome you in right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley.
Matt Pauley has everything sports, from what's happening with your Cardinals.
A lot of Cardinals baseball stuff. A lot to get into.
To the sports news of the day.
Let's talk a little St. Louis Blues hockey.
Interviews and special guests. It's all waiting for you with Matt Pauley.
It's all coming up.
The Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Weeknights at 6 on KMOX.
After I came home from Iraq, I could still hear the booms. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
Thanks to DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Cancer can feel like something we can't do anything about, but you can. There are screening tests that can catch cancer early when it may be easier to treat. Begin cervical screening at age 25. At 45, start colorectal and breast screening. At 50, discuss lung screening with a doctor. Find resources for free and low-cost screening at cancer.org/getscreened. This is a public service message from the American Cancer Society.
When severe weather threatens St. Louis and the region,
we have a new tornado warning that has just come out.
The KMOX News team is there for you with complete storm center coverage.
I want to bring in our meteorologist, Dave Murray.
It's a very strong tornado. It's around Sullivan right now.
In cooperation with Fox 2.
We are also simulcasting on KMOX.
You get the information to keep you and your family safe.
We're joined again on KMOX by AccuWeather meteorologist Carl Erickson.
Storm center coverage.
It's so important to pay attention.
From News Radio 1120, KMOX. Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive.
He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman on this Sunday morning. It's the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Our Stifel Financial Sports Studio is at Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals are going to wrap up the first half of the season with the fourth and final game with the Cubs here this afternoon. And we have that coming up for you beginning at basically a little after noon. We'll have the pregame show getting underway here from Busch Stadium, and we'll get you all set, obviously, for what this one's going to look like today for the Cards. Should be good with regards to the bullpen. If you missed our interview with Oliver Marmol, that came up at 10:15. You can go back on the Odyssey app and listen to that. It will be up in the Cardinals Conversation page and available at KMOX.com. Also, all of those places. But he said that he feels like the bullpen's going to be in good shape after JoJo Romero only pitched 2/3 of an inning last night. Perhaps not Andrew Kittredge, who pitched an inning and a third in the late game, or John King, who pitched 2 innings. But then you've got a guy like Fernandez, perhaps Liberatore, who's available. I think Helsley would be available if it's a safe situation. And then, like I said, I would wonder how much Helsley is going to be used in the All-Star game. And it's not that a reliever is going to get a lot of use anyway in an all-star situation, because there's so many pitchers there that are available that it's just simply a matter of the innings for pitchers available. So I don't know that you worry about Ryan Helsley being used too much there. And obviously, if he was to pitch today, that might even take away a chance to pitch in the All-Star game anyway. And I think that if you give him the option of winning a game today for the team and not pitching in the All-Star game, or not pitching today so we can pitch in the All-Star game, I mean, obviously it's going to be winning a game today for this team and getting you to, sending you off on a really good note to finish this first half of the season. It would be a 3-game win streak. And then, like I said, could very well be a chance to be 2.5 games back of the division. Already 3.5 games back. They're now as close as they have been for a while in the division. I would be surprised if this isn't as close, and I don't know yet. Looking at trying to see if I can figure out if this is as close as they've been. This is as close as the Cardinals have been in the division since it looks like April 17th. Then they were 9-10, and they were 3 games back in the division on April 17th. And I think that's as close as they have been since that point. They got to a season worst 9 games back of the division on Saturday, May 11th. Of course, Sunday, May 12th is the day that they started this run back to relevancy, back to where we see this team now. But you have to go all the way back to mid-April since this team has been this close to first place. And that was after 19 games in the season. And that came after a loss actually at Oakland. Before that, they were 2 games out on April 16th at 9-9 when they beat Oakland. But April 17th, they were 3 games back in the division. Today, as they start play, are 3.5 games back in the National League Central Division. So that is impressive in of itself that the Cardinals have made this kind of run in a relatively short amount of time, I guess. It's been, to this point, 2 months, not quite 2 months, almost 2 months to the day, really, that they have made this run. It was May 12th. They won the game at Milwaukee. That was Mother's Day. That snapped a 7-game losing streak. So it has been 2 months since then that they have made this kind of run. Rest of the Central Division, Pittsburgh is at 3 games back of the Redbirds. They're 47-48. They also, by the way, have a negative run differential. The Pirates do. So their expected win-loss is actually a game worse. The Cardinals' expected win-loss is 44-51 because of that negative run differential. They're starting to be a team that obviously is tough to play here at Busch Stadium. That wasn't the case last year as we saw this team struggle. They're now 5 games over at Busch Stadium and 500 on the road. So those are all good things when you talk about where this team stands and the things that it didn't do last year that it is doing this year differently, and what is making this such a much better season, at least to this point, for the Cardinals. I mentioned it actually a couple of weeks ago too, when you just look just only at the win-loss record and last year, comparing this team to last year and when this team got to 50 wins last year. Since they got to 50 yesterday, last year this team did not get to 50 wins until Wednesday, August 9th, a month later than they are right now. And even at that point, when they got to 50 wins, they were 15 games under the 500 mark. They were 11 and a half games back in the division when they got to 50 wins last year on August 9th. So just all of these things that are different benchmarks to this team compared to last year. Rest of the scoreboard, rest of the games here coming up today. In the National League Central, the Nationals will play at the Brewers again. I already mentioned it, but the Brewers dropped a game yesterday after going up 5-0 against the Nationals and then lost that game anyway. The Pirates won yesterday at Chicago at the White Sox. They'll play again at the White Sox today to finish things up. They get started at 1 o'clock also, 1:10 Central Time. The Reds are at home. They get underway at 12:40 Central Time, so just about 40 minutes or so from now as they take on the Marlins in the final game of that series. So that's what the rest of the National League Central Division looks like for this final day before the All-Star break. Got the Home Run Derby coming up on Tuesday, the All-Star game coming up on Wednesday, and all of those fun things. And we'll, of course, keep you all up to date on everything that is going on with that during the week. I've got Sports Open Line for you all week. Matt Pauley taking some time off, so happy to be in for Matt all week long. I said the Home Run Derby's on Tuesday. It's Monday and then Tuesday. So Monday's the Derby. Tuesday is the All-Star game. Wednesday and Thursday are off days for the team, though I'd imagine they would travel coming up on Thursday. Cardinals will be on the road to start the second half. Friday, Saturday, Sunday against Atlanta, and then Pittsburgh Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, another off day on that Thursday. They don't come back home until the 26th of July when they get set to take on Washington and Texas in a 6-game homestand here at Busch Stadium, which will finish out the month of July. Then they go to the Cubs for a 4-game series at Wrigley Field to start the month of August. Boy, it'll be interesting to see where this team is, where the Cubs are, what the division looks like when they go to August, when they go to Wrigley to start the month of August. It could be a really fun time for the Redbirds by the time they get to that first 4 days in August, and they're facing the Cubs in a big 4-game series at Wrigley Field. So there's a lot of good baseball to come, and I think a lot of good things to come for this team. What will the team look like when they get to that point in that series in Chicago? You're talking about players coming back. You're talking about, are there moves to be made? Are there changes to come for the makeup of this team? That's all going to be figured out by the time you get to that series in August. Do the Cubs look different? Have they become sellers at that point? If they continue to fall off the pace, that might be the case. Now, I don't think the Cubs and Cardinals are going to do any dealings. It's not often you're going to see too many deals within the division at this point, but that doesn't mean that the Cubs aren't going to look completely different when they get to that August standpoint, and the Cardinals aren't going to look completely different when they get to that August standpoint, depending on which direction things are going, and whether or not the Cardinals have made up more ground, have overtaken Milwaukee. Boy, you don't expect that it would be going the other way, but certainly that's a possibility that things had fallen off. It doesn't look like that, the way this team is trending, the way the lineup is trending, and the way the bullpen has been performing. But again, you just don't know. John Mozeliak said it himself. It's baseball, and you never know what's going to happen when it comes to the game of baseball. So, but it's fun to look forward and think about what that August series is going to look like, a 4-game series in August at Wrigley Field for this Redbirds team. With regards to St. Louis City, as you heard from Lutz Pfannenstiel, and again, if you want to go back and listen to that, that'll be up shortly at KMOX.com, but it's also, you can go back in the Odyssey app right now and listen to that. We visited with Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director for St. Louis City, and at the 11:15 mark here in this second hour, and he was very candid with us, talking about last night's performance, a 4-1 loss to the Vancouver Whitecaps, second consecutive multi-goal loss to Vancouver in the last couple of weeks. Of course, the last one was the last straw for Bradley Carnell, but what they called an embarrassing performance last night, and then a big meeting after the game, a closed-door meeting between John Hackworth and Lutz Pfannenstiel and his players. I thought he was really candid in the interview, and appreciate that from Lutz Pfannenstiel. Big thanks to Drew Young, who's been our producer here this morning and is every week on Sports on a Sunday morning. He's always working hard to make sure we get our guests and that we sound as good as we can. Thanks to Lutz. Thanks to Oliver Marmol. Thanks to John Mozeliak for being our guest here this morning, and to Seth Maness, who I visited with yesterday. Cardinals coverage is around the corner here on KMOX as the Cards and the Cubs wrap up the series. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman, and this has been Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's philo.tv.
News Radio KMOX, the home of the Cardinals.
I get asked a lot where your thermostat setting should be at in this kind of heat. My answer